Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're at home, on a walk, cooking, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. Today's episode is very special because we're going to talk about something that affects everyone, no matter where you're from, no matter what language you speak, no matter what your dreams are. It's something we all feel, yet so many of us try to hide it. I'm talking about the fear of failure. Have you ever had an idea, a dream, a goal, something you really wanted to do, but then you didn't? Maybe you wanted to start learning something new. Maybe you wanted to speak more English in public. Maybe you thought about applying for a job, starting a business, writing a book, or creating something you truly care about. And then that little voice came in. The one that says, "But what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I'm not good enough?"
And so, you don't do it. You wait. You overthink. You talk yourself out of it. You tell yourself it's not the right time. You convince yourself you're not ready yet. If that sounds familiar, please know this. You are not alone. Fear of failure is one of the most common and powerful emotions that human beings experience. It can keep us from growing. It can hold us back from our potential. And worst of all, it can make us believe things about ourselves that simply aren't true. But what if I told you that failure isn't the enemy? That maybe, just maybe, failure is actually your greatest teacher. Let's start by talking about what failure really is. Most of us were taught to believe that failure is something bad, that it's something to be avoided, something that proves we're not good enough. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every successful person you've ever heard of has failed, not just once, but many times. In fact, they often fail more than most people. The difference is they don't let failure stop them. They let it shape them, teach them, guide them.
Think of a baby learning to walk. The baby stands up, takes a step, and falls. Then they try again, and fall again, and again. We don't call that failure, we call it learning. It's part of the process. So why, as adults, are we so afraid of falling? Fear of failure is not really about the event, it's about the meaning we give to it. When we fail, we often tell ourselves stories like, "I'm not smart enough," "I'm not talented," "Other people can do it, but not me." These are not facts. These are just beliefs. And the good news is, beliefs can be changed. Fear of failure usually shows up when something matters deeply to you. Think about that. We don't fear failing at things we don't care about. So if you're afraid, it means something inside you wants to grow. That fear is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're on the edge of something meaningful.
Let's go deeper. Why does fear of failure feel so strong? For many people, it's connected to shame, the fear of being judged, rejected, or seen as weak. We worry about what others will think. We imagine the worst-case scenario. We tell ourselves that if we fail, we'll lose respect, we'll lose our chance, we'll lose our value. But here's the thing. Failure does not define your value. It simply gives you information. It tells you what didn't work, so you can try something different. It gives you experience, wisdom, and resilience. It builds your character. I want to invite you now to think about a time in your life when you didn't try something because you were afraid to fail. Maybe it was a small thing, or maybe it was something really important. What did you miss by not trying? And now, think about what might have happened if you had tried anyway.
There's something called the regret of inaction. Studies have shown that, in the long run, people regret the things they didn't do more than the things they did, even when those things didn't go perfectly. Trying and failing brings pain, yes, but not trying at all can bring a quiet sadness that lasts for years. Let's talk now about how fear of failure shows up in everyday life. Sometimes it's easy to see, like when we avoid speaking English because we're afraid of making mistakes. But sometimes it's more hidden. It looks like procrastination, like always planning but never starting, like waiting for the perfect moment, like saying, "I'll do it later," again and again. We say we're being careful, but often we're just afraid.
So, what can we do about it? First, we can change the way we see failure. Instead of seeing it as something bad, we can begin to see it as a step towards success. Every time you fail, you are learning. Every mistake brings a lesson. Every setback builds strength. Failure means you are trying, and trying is always better than doing nothing. Second, we can take smaller steps. If a big goal feels scary, break it down. Don't wait until you feel fully ready, because you probably never will. Start small. Speak one sentence. Write one paragraph. Apply to one opportunity. Do one workout. Take one risk. Small steps create momentum, and momentum creates progress.
Third, we need to speak kindly to ourselves. That voice in your head, the one that says, "You're not good enough," it's lying. You don't have to believe every thought you think. You can challenge those beliefs. You can say, "Maybe I'm not perfect, but I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm doing my best." That's how confidence is built, not by being perfect, but by practicing courage. I want to share a short story with you. A student of mine once told me that she wanted to speak English fluently, but she never spoke in class. She was afraid of making mistakes. She said, "I don't want to sound stupid." So she stayed quiet for weeks. Then, one day, she decided to try. Just one sentence. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. That small moment changed everything. She kept trying, little by little, and soon she was speaking with confidence, not because the fear disappeared, but because she learned to act in spite of it. The fourth idea is this: shift the question. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I learn?" Or, "What if I succeed?" Or, "What if I grow in the process?" Fear of failure focuses on the worst-case scenario, but your brain needs balance. Give it a different story. Show it a different possibility. And finally, remember this: you don't need to wait for motivation. Motivation comes and goes. What really matters is action. Action builds motivation. The more you act, the more confident you feel. The more confident you feel, the more action you take. It's a beautiful circle, but it starts with a single step. So let me ask you now, where in your life is fear of failure holding you back? Is it in your language learning, your relationships, your career, your dreams? What's one thing you've been avoiding? And what's one small step you could take today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Speak it into existence.
Failure is not your enemy. In fact, fear is often just a sign that something matters to you, that you care, that you want to grow. So honor that feeling and move anyway, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if it's scary, because that's what courage is. As we come to the end of this episode, I want you to remember this: you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are a learner, a doer, a dreamer, a human being doing their best to grow. So please, don't wait. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait until all your fears disappear. Begin now with what you have, right where you are.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope today's episode gave you something meaningful for your English, for your growth, for your life. And if this spoke to you, I invite you to listen again. Speak the words out loud. Write your reflections. Practice. Reflect. Repeat. That's how we grow, one small step at a time. You are stronger than your fears. You are capable of more than you believe. And failure, it's just one part of your story, not the end of it. Keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in your ability to move forward. Until next time.